The alternate timeline begins at the exact moment the original film ends. The Bat carrying the nuclear bomb away from Gotham, the city holding its breath below, every eye and every window turned toward the sky. But this time, there is no last-second escape waiting on the other side. This time the story doesn't bend to save him. Bruce knows he has only minutes left. The cockpit is dark except for the flickering warning lights along the console, each one confirming what he already suspects. The Bat's controls are damaged from the fight in the streets below, the bomb strapped beneath him is unstable and counting down faster than the readout can keep pace with, and the autopilot system, the one piece of technology built specifically to fly this mission without a pilot, has failed completely. There is no clean version of this ending. Bruce takes manual control himself, gripping the yoke with hands that have been broken and healed more times than he can count, and pushes the aircraft out past Gotham's coastline, further than the mission strictly requires, further than survival would ever ask of him. For the first time in years he isn't flying to survive the night. He isn't calculating an escape route, isn't leaving himself a way back down into the city he spent a decade protecting. He has already made peace with the fact that Batman ends here, tonight, above the water, and that peace is somehow the strangest part of it all. He looks back at Gotham one final time through the cracked windshield, the skyline he's watched from countless rooftops, the city that spent years fearing him, then hunting him, then quietly, reluctantly needing him more than it ever wanted to admit out loud. He thinks of Alfred. He thinks of Gordon. He thinks of everyone he couldn't save and everyone he did. Then he says it quietly, almost like a confession finally being spoken out loud after years of silence. It's not about me anymore. He turns the aircraft toward open water, away from every light, every rooftop, every person who might still be watching. The bomb detonates. Batman dies. The explosion is enormous, a white-hot bloom over the dark water visible for miles in every direction. From the streets of Gotham, the sky lights up like a second sunrise gone catastrophically wrong, throwing long shadows across rooftops and startling pigeons off of ledges all across the city. Every person watching from every window understands the same thing at the exact same moment, without needing anyone to explain it to them. Batman didn't make it back this time. Commissioner Gordon stands at the edge of the harbor and refuses to believe it, not right away. He keeps his eyes fixed on the horizon long after the light from the blast has faded into ordinary darkness, waiting, the way he's waited before, for some impossible shape to come cutting back across the water toward the city. It never does. Minutes pass. Then an hour. The water stays empty, and eventually even Gordon has to accept what everyone around him already understands. In the days that follow, Gordon personally oversees the search through the wreckage recovered near the blast site, working long past when anyone would have blamed him for going home. What his team eventually pulls from the twisted remains of the Bat changes everything he thought he knew. Tucked into a compartment near what's left of the cockpit is Bruce Wayne's personal identification, undamaged, deliberately placed where it would be found. There is no body. There doesn't need to be. It's more than enough evidence for Gordon to finally piece together exactly what happened, and exactly who had been sitting in that cockpit when it flew out over the water. Bruce Wayne had deliberately sacrificed himself to save a city that, for years, treated him like its enemy. Standing there in the wreckage, Gordon feels something in his understanding of the man shift permanently. Batman had never simply been trying to save Gotham from a safe distance, hiding behind a symbol while the city did the dying. He had chosen Gotham over himself all the way to the very end, with nobody there to see it or thank him for it. He wasn't the monster the papers had painted him as for years. He wasn't only a symbol of vengeance stalking rooftops in the dark. He was a man who gave away everything he had, quietly and completely, to protect people who might never even learn his real name. The city changes almost overnight once the truth becomes public. For years, Batman had been treated as a criminal, a terrorist, a necessary evil that Gotham tolerated but never quite trusted or thanked. Now the story flips entirely and there's no putting it back the way it was. Batman saved Gotham at the total cost of his own life, and once that fact is out, the city can't unlearn it. Flowers begin appearing outside police headquarters within a day. Candles follow, then photographs, then handwritten notes tucked between them, dozens at first, then hundreds. Children start cutting cardboard into makeshift cowls and wearing them down the street like it's the most natural thing in the world. Murals go up on brick walls across the city almost overnight, painted by people who never once saw his actual face. The legend grows faster than anyone, even Gordon, can keep up with. But Gordon understands something that nobody else in the grieving, candlelit city quite grasps yet. Gotham hasn't simply lost a hero it can eventually replace with a statue and a holiday. It has lost Bruce Wayne and Batman in the exact same instant, and no amount of murals or vigils is ever going to bring either one of them back. Bruce Wayne is given a full public funeral, and it becomes one of the quietest, heaviest scenes Gotham has witnessed in years, the kind of silence that settles over a crowd when grief runs deeper than anyone's willing to say out loud. Alfred attends, standing near the front row, dressed impeccably as always, composed on the surface but visibly hollowed out underneath it, the way only someone who raised the man in that coffin could be. Gordon attends in full dress uniform, saying almost nothing to the people around him, his jaw set the entire service. Selina Kyle stands well back from the crowd, half hidden near the edge of the cemetery gates. Watching from a distance, she clearly has no intention of closing. Blake watches quietly from somewhere further back still, taking in a ceremony for a man he barely knew, sensing there's more to the story than anyone around him is saying. To everyone else gathered on the lawn that day, they are mourning a billionaire lost in the nuclear attack that nearly leveled their city. Only Gordon, standing rigid among them, understands they are actually mourning Batman. Before the service ends, Alfred steps forward alone and places a single photograph beside Bruce's coffin. The same photograph Bruce had once given him years earlier, long before any of this began, back when the worst thing either of them had lost was still recoverable. Alfred looks down at it for a long moment, his composure finally slipping just slightly at the edges, and says quietly, barely above a whisper meant for no one else to hear, "You finally did it." Then he turns and walks away from the grave without looking back even once. The story picks up several months later. Gotham has grown quieter in the time since, the kind of quiet that comes only after a city has been forced to rebuild itself from the inside out. Crime has fallen sharply across every district. The police department is slowly repairing both its reputation and its ranks. The city, for the first time in longer than most residents can remember, feels like it's actually moving forward instead of simply surviving one crisis after the next. Blake is working alongside Gordon now, learning the job the hard way from the ground up, the same way Gordon once did decades earlier. One evening, off-duty and following an instinct he can't quite explain even to himself, Blake makes his way out to the overgrown grounds of the long-abandoned Wayne Manor. He finds his way down through a hidden passage he shouldn't technically know about, into a cave carved beneath the estate, empty and silent, dust settling thick over every surface. The platform where Bruce's suit once stood now bare and untouched. He walks through it slowly, taking in the scale of a legacy nobody has ever bothered to explain to him directly, piecing it together on his own from what's left behind. Then, without warning, a computer terminal flickers to life on its own somewhere deeper in the cave. Access granted. Blake freezes in place as the cave's lights rise slowly around him, bank by bank, illuminating a space that was never supposed to wake up again for anyone. There's no Bruce standing in the shadows waiting for him. No Batman stepping out to explain any of it. Just one message glowing quietly on the terminal screen in front of him, waiting, patient, like it's been sitting there for months for exactly this moment. If you're seeing this, Gotham still needs you.